Welcome to Work Hard, Play Harder, where cash flow is king. With Jake Haynes, this is where powerful ideas, real experiences, and game-changing strategies help you maximize cash flow and build unstoppable success. Now, let's dive right in.
Hi, this is Jake Haynes, your host of Work Hard, Play Harder, where we meet some of the world's most incredible people and learn how they have done and what they have done to be so successful in their lives. So the sponsor today is Action Tax, and today I'd like to share with you what is the way to truly become the niche in your market and to be the most successful in the thing that you do. And I shared that by sharing a pyramid that I learned from Chet Holmes in the book, The Ultimate Sales Machine, that he wrote, and some other great stuff that he did. And in this pyramid, he talks about there are 5 levels. And the first level is the generalist. And the generalist is kind of that guy who just does his work. He may be the technician, like in the book, The E-Myth Revisited. That's the first book you should read if you're involved with business. In this book, he talks about the technician who can do the work, who understands the work, who understands the basics, who's gotten familiar with the area. And this is the majority of people who are working, actually. And the specialist is the one who goes the extra steps and gets the certifications and gets the skills and gets the potentially years of experience, starts to know how to do the problem. He's a recognized expert and in the work that he's doing. So he is someone who can be counted on to do it the right way, he or she. And the third level is an authority. Now, when a person is an authority, they start to become recognized as the go-to person for getting answers to how do you do this job? How do you become the best at this job? An authority is a person who has gotten so much experience that they start asking people to teach them. They may be a teacher, they may be a seller of a book, they may become a speaker, they may write many papers, like in the medical profession, people are expected to start writing papers all the time on the work that they have discovered, right? That is the authority is the one who is well known in this area and carries on with this. The celebrity is the person who is so well known, they are thought out, they are sought out for their experience. They can charge anything for their work. And this can be in so many different roles. It doesn't matter, in most cases, what your professional role is. You can reach a very high level and become a celebrity because you are so well known. So many people know you. You've done the marketing, you've done the research to grow, your experience in that area. You may do a podcast, you may be a national podcaster, you may have sold books and, multiple books and lots of papers. You may be on TV, you may be sharing this thing and everyone knows, hey, this lady, she knows what she is talking about. You get this, the book helps you in getting absolute recognition in this. And, the TV series that you do, or that you start being on different TV shows and giving your expert opinion and advice. And then that's basically the level that you would reach to make unlimited income or a lot of income. The celebrity authority is that top of the line, the best. They're the ones that educate everyone else at the top level. They're the guru's guru, as it says, the person who is once in a, there's like one in each industry. But the level that you should be shooting for is celebrity. And if you start to document everything that you can do, as I've shared this about how you can go up this ladder of success in whatever role you have, whether you're an employee, whether you are an owner of a business, it doesn't matter. You can climb this ladder and then gain more value per hour in what you do for work, no matter where it is. And that's the idea from the idea I want to share with you today from Action Tax Service. Okay. So now we're done with that. I have Chad Franzen here from Rise 25, who has done thousands of interviews with successful entrepreneurs and CEOs. And we have flipped the script, and he will be interviewing me today. Chad, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks so much, Jake. It's great to be here with you. How are you doing today?
I am great. It's crisp. It's freezing cold outside. It's like 33 degrees. It's early February here, and it's fun to be inside a warm room and talking to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's freezing here. I'm in Colorado. Where are you?
I'm in Washington State near
Okay.
Seattle.
All right. Good to hear. Hey, I'm looking forward to talking with you, finding out more about you as the host of the podcast. Um, why don't we just get rolling? Tell me a little bit about your background.
So I'm a CPA. I've been a CPA for about 25 years, a little bit more, and I have bought and sold a few businesses over the course of time, and now I have Action Tax Service in Auburn. Acquired it in 2007. It's a great thriving business. We serve about 1,500 business owners, and we have a focus of working with real estate agents but we work with a lot of other businesses, but we have a focus of working with people who are agents as well as real estate investors and people who do flips. So that's a little bit about the firm that we have built up. I have also owned other businesses in the past several years. Some of them have been wonderful success, and some of them have been amazing failures. I had a spa some time ago that miserably failed. I realized I should not have been in that industry. I have a family entertainment center. We have a great facility that serves the needs of families and both youth and adults. It's a great place. And we work hard and we play hard. So I do a lot of things to play and enjoy life as a person who has had a challenging history. I now want to greatly enjoy, the time that I have to carry on and do amazing things that have always been on my bucket list and my goals.
Yeah, good for you. So, you mentioned you've had a variety of businesses. I saw on your website that you had your first entrepreneurial experience at the age of 14. What was that?
Yeah, I at age of 14, I couldn't drive yet. And the first thing I did was I made nameplates for people, and I went all around the neighborhood and I sold these things for $10, and I would burn someone's name, the Johnsons and and it was just the funnest thing. And I went from there to doing paper routes. And I had 5 paper routes. And from those customers, I ended up starting a lawn business. And the lawn business made a lot more money than the paper route, and it was hard work. And I loved hard work as a kid. And so I did the lawn business for 7 years. I did it throughout high school and throughout college, and it got me through all of that. And I even did it after college at one point. I love being outside, love to work hard. And then, other little things in between all of that. But the entrepreneur as a child was a big deal.
How did
A
that
great.
entrepreneurial spirit get instilled in you?
There's a good question. I think maybe one of the variables that caused me to be an entrepreneur was the struggle of my family. I wasn't, we weren't poor, but we were barely maybe middle class. We had a simple living with 6 kids in the family, and at times we struggled when Dad was laid off. He was an electrician, and work was kind of hit and miss then, and that just led me to say, you know what, I'm not going to have that happen to me, and I worked hard to be independently able to take care of myself.
You talked about how you've had some entrepreneurial successes, some entrepreneurial failures. I'm sure that's what every true entrepreneur would say. What would you say you learn more from, the failures or the successes, or both?
Oh, by far the failures. I was doing great at my CPA firm a decade, 15 years ago, and I decided I was going to start something. And I looked up for a long time for a business to acquire. I ended up being unwise and acquired a clinical day spa. And to make a long, miserable story very short, the business completely failed after one year, and I lost $100,000. I was upside down for a long time. After that, the economy wasn't all that good, and I mean, it was an amazing struggle. But I learned a lot about what not to do and how to lead a team and how to structure for growth when you are not it's not your primary business, but it's your second business or your third business. Yeah, learned a lot of great valuable tips,
Yeah, I'm
tools.
sure you apply some of that wisdom to your to when you're a professional speaker with NSA. Tell me a little bit about that.
I love public speaking. I've done it for years, and not like a professional arena, in personal life and religious life and in leadership. And so I recently got involved with the National Speaker Association and am involved with public speaking in that arena as a working soon to be what they have as a designation as a certified professional speaker or certified speaking professional. And I go around and I do public speaking in a lot of different arenas. I did some training for several years. As a young man, I was a scout, a Boy Scout, and then as an adult, I began to lead Boy Scouts, and I did that for about 20 years. And during that time, as I would lead the Boy Scouts, I also taught leadership training to scout leaders, and I did that for several years. They have a program called Wood Badge, and it's a whole week of training adult leaders to be effective leaders to their Boy Scouts. And so I assisted with a large group. We did an extraordinary amount of training to help people be effective leaders in the Boy Scout program. That was a highlight of my life. I did it for several years, went on to do a lot more professional speaking, primarily in the arena of growing my CPA firm. I would speak to groups and pick up customers periodically. I spoke at many conferences that were tied to like real estate professionals. And I would give tips, tax tips, tools, business tips to these groups, and connected with these individuals, and now therefore have a firm that has one focus of working with a lot of these kind of entrepreneurs.
How has coaching played a part of your life, whether receiving coaching or being a coach?
So I was in business after being about 7, 8 years working in the private sector. I got into business myself, a whole nother story, but I got into business and I was in it for about 6 months. And I meet this guy. This guy comes up and tries to sell me that I should use his business coaching. And I told him, I says, you know what, I've been in the professional arena as a CPA for other companies, and I know how the business runs. I know how it works. I help these businesses succeed. I don't need a business coach. And he's like, well, let's just set a few goals. And I'm like, well, I set a lot of goals, so that would not be very hard. And if it'll get you out of my office, I'll share with you a few of the goals, and we identify some of these goals. And so we wrote down a few things, and I'm like, okay, are you going to leave me alone now? And yeah, okay. He said, but I'll see you in a month. And I'm like, yeah, sure you will. And in a month, Kevin from Action Coach, he came back into my office, and he's like, how's it going with those goals? And I'm like, I haven't done a single one of them yet. And and he says, you need a coach. You need a coach to help you succeed, to help you, build your business and thrive. And I'm like, okay. So I took it on, and he started coaching me. And after a period of time of coaching me, we began to explode with growth. He gave me tools and resources that I thought I knew. I didn't know. I'd never run a small business. I was just a one-man show. It was me and a part-time receptionist. We had our tiny little office. And he helped us just explode with growth. And after several months, he says, okay, Jake, I would like to get a referral from you. And I'm like, you want a referral from me from one of my customers? Okay, so if I give you a referral and it doesn't work well, my customers are going to be quite upset with me. And I very reluctantly handed over. He was very pressing, and I gave him a referral. I knew this company was struggling, and and I gave this referral to Kevin, and Kevin went and he met with this window manufacturing company that or window installer, and about maybe a month and a half later, I get a call from the owner of the window manufacturing company, and he says, Jake, do you know this Kevin guy that you referred me to? And I am like ready to backstep, right?
Mhm.
I'm like, oh no, I'm worried he's going to be very upset with me, because I basically tried to sell him something, right? And he says, why didn't you refer this guy to me months ago? And I'm like, oh, well, I didn't think of it, but how's it going? And he's like, Jake, he has turned my business around. I'm making a tiny profit for the first time in like 5 years. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. That's just the coolest thing. So tell me how it's going. And he told me all about how it's going. And I recognized that for me, having my clients work with a coach was a very big win. They would work with a coach and they would grow their business. I would work with a coach and provide them both the financial statements that they needed. I do my part as a firm to help them out. And together, the three of us would coach about how we're going to grow his business, his or her business. And we did this then with many hundreds of my customers over several years. And it was the single smartest thing that I had ever done was bring a coach into the mix to work with us.
So I'm guessing, I think a lot of people would have the same attitude that you would have initially. Like, I'm good with my business is my business, and I'm not worried about, I don't need help. I don't need a consultant. I don't need a coach. I'm guessing you would recommend thinking otherwise.
Absolutely. Not only is a coach good to bounce ideas off, just about make a decision, but they give you a direction. They give you a real focus to move you along in your business. It is hard, you know, it is genuinely hard to be an entrepreneur because in a lot of cases, it's just you, you know, it's it's just you and your little business, and you're trying to grow it. You're trying to help your customers in the best way you can. And when you get involved with that coach, he helps you look way outside of the
Mm.
box, right? I mean, we could go on and on about the coaching, and so I would work with Kevin for I to this day. We still bounce ideas off each other frequently. We have done some business ventures together, and I also provide a lot of coaching to my customers on a regular basis to help them succeed in their many businesses. It is amazing and fun to be a CPA who is also an entrepreneur who is also a coach. And the combination of the three really feeds my hungry entrepreneurs with a delicious a meal that is very satisfying and that helps you build the muscle that you need to progress to whatever level you want to in your business.
Yeah, yeah, that is awesome. So I'm sure you have, your own mission, your own vision. Can you tell
Yes.
me anything about those?
Well, I do have a vision for myself and my future, and it is actually very extensive, and it talks about being able to ultimately impact 1 million people, and that is my goal, to impact more than 1 million people in my life. And with that, I have set a lot of goals. In my life, I've actually completed more than 2,000 goals, and it is fun. It is amazing. I completed many of them with my coach on the professional arena, and I have completed a great many of them personally in my personal life. And the short-term goals are things that I work on all the time, but then there's several long-term goals that I'm working on. It's a lot of fun.
How long have you been kind of a goal setter, like documenting your own goals?
Yeah, it actually started when I was, I believe, 16. I was inspired by this one meeting I had to set goals. And I thought about that and it stuck in my mind. And I kind of went one of those stayed awake all night just thinking about this. And I'm like, I got to do this. And I went back to this lady. I'm like, how do I go about doing this? And she's like, you got to write them all down. And she says, you got to write yourself 100 goals. And so here I am at 16 years old with 100 lifetime goals, right? It took me some time. It took me, like a week to finally think of 100. And some of them are so silly. I remember I was horrible at wrestling. I wrestled one season. And this was right at the time frame when I was setting the goals. And so one of my goals is win a wrestling match, right? And when I finally won that match, I mean, it was like, yes, I completed one of it was like my first goal, about a month after setting these goals, I actually completed one, run a wrestling match. So some of them were very simple, but a lot of them are long time before they'll be fulfilled. They are
Mm,
years and years and years of doing things,
mhm.
such as one of my goals is for 50 years to complete 5 New Year's resolutions. So it's been about 35, about 40 years now, I should say, that I started the goals, not quite that long, but every year I have set about 8 to 10 New Year's resolutions. I call them New Year's resolutions or, annual goals, right? So I set these before the new year starts and I review and make sure they're exactly what I want. And then during the year, I complete and have consistently for all those years, I have completed 5 New Year's resolutions. And I've got mine. I just recently set them for this year and I set those things and they are like challenging. I'm like, I don't know if I should be this aggressive. I might not be able to complete five, but we do it. We do it as a team in the company. We do it as a family. We do it as an individual, right? I work on areas of spiritual areas and physical goal every single year, and social goals every year, which might be like mental and social might be in the area of like improving my marriage, improving my family relations, and then financial goals, right? So we work on, all of the balanced areas of life. I do with these goals each year.
So, what would you say is the value of? I mean, it sounds fantastic. What would you say is the value of doing that? A lot of people might say like, I don't know, I'm just trying to take it day by day. I'm just plugging through life. What would you say is a value of maybe setting goals like that, being aggressive, kind of?
Uh-huh. Well, it's like manyfold. So first would be the sense of accomplishment. When you feel like you have now made an accomplishment, when you write it down, when you write down a goal, it goes from a dream to becoming a goal, right? And then when you complete that goal, you're like, I did it. I completed it. And you can usually test and measure the results, the success, the what that goal brought to you, right? These goals, like one of my goals each year is a physical goal, and this year it's actually to climb 5 mountains. And I'm working on all the lower 49, climbing all the lower 49 mountains. And so as I work towards that, I have to get in shape for it. It keeps me physically strong and mentally awake, right? And it gives me something to focus on when I'm not, in business. It gets me away from business. It allows me to burn that energy off, right? That the stresses of running a business. So there's many rewards, both personally and professionally. The success of our firm is solely from setting hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of small, simple goals that have piled on each other and have produced ultimately, a firm that just amazes me as a single member owner of this firm, one of the largest firms in the United States. We serve, a couple thousand customers and do several thousand tax returns and do bookkeeping and payroll services for hundreds and hundreds of businesses that are all these entrepreneurs that want to succeed. So the goals are an amazing thing that bring about fulfillment. They keep me active. They give me a direction and a focus, right? And I'm always working towards my vision as I set all these goals, right? They give me a sense of well-being. As I review these goals every single week, I do an inventory, which is to sit down on a Sunday afternoon. It's peaceful, it's quiet, and I go through and I look at my goals. I look at my annual goals, my short-term goals, my long-term goals, and my New Year's resolution goals, and others. I have company goals that are there, so I just review them, and I make a few notes, and I put them on my phone, and it drives me to create something that I call the yellow sticky note. It's in my book. I
Hmm.
talk about the yellow sticky note. In the yellow sticky note, I identify at least 7 things that I'm going to do. I mean, here's what I got right now going today. I've got a few of them on my yellow sticky note. This puts it right in front of my face, and it helps me work a little bit each day towards the ultimate goals that I want to set, that I want to achieve in my life.
Okay, well that is awesome. Hey, let's move forward to maybe some adventures. You talked about how you're kind of a mountain climber. I know you're a kind of a proud adventurer. What stands out to you in terms of the adventures that you've had so far?
What stands out? I do a lot of adventures with lots of people. So we do like large group adventures. Like a few years ago, I took 24 people to Miami, Florida,
Hmm.
and we watched the great final concert by Elton John. It was so awesome to see him in his concert. Everyone loved Elton John that I had taken on his group. We watched this great concert, and we went scuba diving, and we went skydiving, and we went dancing at these great facilities, and we had some of the best food. One of the things I love to do is search for the best executive chefs around and get some really good food, and just enjoy the good company with that. So that was one event that I did. I for years I go each year to a company that does wing walking. And
What is that?
wing walking is an amazing thing. You walk on the wings of a biplane, and
Okay.
that is pretty cool right there. Now, so a lot of people think that I am just crazy for doing that, and I probably am. But getting on the wings of a biplane and being 3 or 4 thousand feet above the earth, and having that biplane do a somersault when I'm on the wings, and doing, flips and twists and tucks and jackknives where it comes and flies down in the air, and that is just a thrill of epic proportion.
That is
It's
crazy.
it's the highlight of life. Doing things that will literally just scare the living dickens out of you. And I I love doing that. There's actually multiple positions where you can be on the plane. You can be on the top of the wing, or you can be between the wings, and then you can go out to the end of the wing and hang off of the wing upside down. And each one of those positions has its own uh, amazing, scary parts to it. It's a lot of fun. And then what else do I do?
Yeah.
I go scuba diving all over the world. And if you're a scuba diver, I love to connect with you. I've got a lot of scuba divers, and we get boats and we go to amazing places. The Great Barrier Reef in Australia, and we've been to Bali scuba diving in Komodo, and like seeing the Komodo dragons on a tour that we did. And we've been to Fiji and diving with sharks, 70 some odd sharks swirling all around you, and eating this food. And of course, I would have to ask the certified diver there if it's okay if I help feed the sharks. And of course he would let me, and I would almost get my fingers bitten off. but it's just a lot of fun. And skydiving that I mentioned earlier, we often do that. We go to places that are new and different, and we find out what challenges might be there, whether it might be skydiving or scuba diving or bungee jumping or whatever, and have a good time. Plan some things and have some good bonfires and some good events at the dance places, and it just good bonding time, connecting, challenging, having fun with good people.
Wow, that is amazing. So let's hear a little bit about your personal life. You're married, you have kids?
Yeah, yeah, married and five amazing children. The oldest actually works for me here at the CPA firm and is doing an amazing job. I mean, I fired her about 8, 10 years ago and said, no, no, I can't do this. You're fired. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And it would end up like 3 years ago that my staff were like, we really need your daughter to come in and work for us. She's the best one. And I'm like, I will not supervise her. I will not hire her. You guys will take care of that. I will have nothing to do with this. And to this day, I have very little to do with my daughter working here. And she works and she has a job, and she works with one of the tax preparers here. And together they work very well. They have a lot of fun. And I have a daughter who is in Vegas on a mission, and I have three younger boys, and we do lots of fun things together. We do some skiing and some scuba diving, and they're doing their own things. They're very active in band and wrestling. The normal things that kids are doing, and they're enjoying their time. I've been married for over 30 years now, and it's not all been easy, but it's been worth it.
Sure.
30 years of marriage, you're going to have some ups and downs, and we've had ours, and um, it's been good to have a companion to be with, but it's been wrought with challenges. We do work very well together. Of course, after 30 years, we better. So that's a little bit about the family life.
Yeah. So I know, speaking of challenges, I know that you've dealt with epilepsy and you did for 40 years. How has that kind of affected you? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. I was born with spinal meningitis as a tiny, tiny infant, and the side effect of this was to have seizures. And so I remember at 8 years old, I started having conscious daytime seizures. I was sitting in front of the cartoons at the TV, and I started having these seizures. And I would start having clusters of seizures. And that was the beginning of it. And the seizures got worse and worse and worse as years went on. I began to have unconscious seizures, and that was just dangerous. Um, I got on medication finally. It was diagnosed not until I was 17, but I got on medication. And throughout college and throughout my first several years in working and then in my own firm, self-employed, I dealt with hundreds of thousands of seizures. During stressful times, the seizures would be much more impactful and more powerful. They would hit me harder. I mean, I had seizures, in this office in front of my clients, and it'd scare my clients, understandably, right? It was hard. There was a lot of challenges. My staff were always concerned about it, and of course, my family was concerned. Taking the CPA exam, I had it was I was using my brain to study and to get ready for it and to sit for the exam, and I had literally probably 2 or 3 thousand seizures during the year that I would prepare for the exam. So it was really bad. It was really bad, and then they started to get even worse, and so I looked at options for how to change things. I had been going to a neurologist for a long time, and I finally went and found a new neurologist, and I found out that my seizures were actually curable and that there was a brain surgery available for my kind of epilepsy, which I was told that was not the case. And an amazing story in my book talks about that. The whole detail about that. But ultimately, I would have brain surgery with a neurosurgeon in Arizona at the Burrow Institute. And this was an amazing neurosurgeon. I didn't know, and the story of how I found this gentleman is an inspirational, amazing story that you gotta hear someday. But I would have the brain surgery, and I would be cured with no side effects because of this particular brain surgeon. And when I was cured, I called that neurosurgeon and I said, I said to Dr. Smith, I says, you don't know what you've done. You have freed me from bondage. And now I can begin to live my vision and live my goals and fulfill the things that I want to. And you think that you have just cured one person, but you have impacted more than 1 million people with what you've done. And so thank you so much for your expertise, your specific expertise that cured me without any side effects, because the potential for side effects was a given with the other options I was looking at. But I was cured, and from there I would begin to really define and live my vision, and that's a big part of why I am who I am, with climbing all these mountains and completing all these goals and being able to scuba dive, because I could not before. It's one of the first things I would do is get that scuba certification. Another first thing would be I would go climb Mount Rainier. When I was 18 and I became an Eagle Scout, my scoutmaster took me up Mount Rainier, and I had a massive seizure on the summit. And to being absolutely blessed beyond belief, I had 3 Army Rangers that picked me up and carried me off that mountain. Otherwise, I would have suffered from oxygen deprivation, and it could have been life-changing. But they got me off of that summit and carried me most of the way down off of Mount Rainier. And once I was cured of epilepsy, I knew exactly what I would do first. And I did it, and we prepared well, and we went, and as a group, we went and climbed Mount Rainier. And being on the summit of that mountain was, a highlight
Yeah, I bet.
of my life.
I bet. How has that's living with epilepsy for that long is a challenge that most people haven't had to endure, and you just had to kind of do it naturally. Now, I mean, I understand once you have that kind of taken away from you by that surgeon, that's huge, and you can accomplish all sorts of things. But how did that kind of shape you? How did having to deal with those endless challenges shape you into who you are now, beyond just having it cured?
When you're at a deficit with seizures that I was for so many years, and then as an entrepreneur, I I somehow was like, I won't let this stop me. I won't. I'm not going to give up. There was a point in my life. I was employed at the time. I didn't have my firm yet, and I had just been fired from another job. Whole another story. But I was fired from another job, and I remember sitting in a stoplight and thinking, I'm done. I've done this so many times. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do to provide for my tiny little family, which was a huge, fear at that time of how am I going to do this? I can't hold a job. I can't maintain what I do to be an effective accountant. And I said, I'm done. I'm gonna go get on welfare, and I'm sure I'll get disability. I'll probably make enough money to survive. I'm done with this. I'm walking away. And I got to my house, and the house just happened to be, empty. And I got on my knees. And when I arose a long time later, I said, we're going to do this. We're going to do whatever it takes. And it would not be long later that much far longer than not, just a few weeks later that I put it in my mind. I am going to start my own firm. Just like I've been an entrepreneur in the past, I'm going to start my own firm. And that was the beginning of raging, fun, hard challenges and ultimately success.
So you got home, you prayed,
I did. Yes. Prayed
and
hard.
that revolutionized your thought process.
It did. It gave me focus. You know, I had a family to raise, and that was priority number one for me at that time, right? To make sure that their needs were met. I did mention that that was probably about the 74th job that I had been through, and I was just like in my 20s, and it was like my 74th job. I would end up having another job and then the last job. And after that last job, I would say that's it. I'm doing this on my own. There were lots of reasons for having a lot of jobs. A story for another day. But I pressed forward, and the goal that when I got on my knees and I put I was allowed to I released all the other pressures that were around me and said what's most important, and what's most important is that I be financially secure for my family. And I had gotten my degree, and that was one thing in the past that was very important to me. And now I had my degree, and I'm like, I'm failing, I'm failing, I'm failing. No, I don't have to fail. I can start succeeding, succeeding, succeeding. And so I would use some consecrated funds that I had worked very hard to get, and we would put them into the CPA firm. And at the time, I had 5 job offers, and they were really good job offers. One of them was, this was back in '99, and I had a job offer for $125,000 to go work for this company, and I gave it up, and I opened the CPA firm. And in the first year, I made 37,000 in profit.
Mm.
And it kind of hurt a little bit, but I was an entrepreneur, and I would meet that business coach and everything would blossom from there.
Nice, very nice. So that's you've discussed some huge achievements that you've had. Um, is that what are some of the other ones that you're most proud of?
I've got a book, The 7 Strategies of Highly Successful Business Owners, and that took about nine, about 9 months to write that book. And I finished the book and I gave it to someone to read, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, oh wow!" They said, let's give this to an editor," and the editor put it together beautifully. I mean, did a lot of editing for me and put together a book that was now a good read. It's an interesting book, and I mean, if you can imagine an accountant, writing a book, right? That's kind of what it was like. But then she helped me completely revise and create the book, and the book is something I give to every client, and it's something that I still live the concepts of the book today, about being a massively successful business. I live those concepts every day as I continue to grow my firm, and I share those with all of my clients. I share the concepts and give them the resources that they need to have a highly successful business. So
What keeps you inspired?
Well, the book, the goals, my personal drive to reach some of those ultimate goals, and my vision, they keep me inspired. I love to help people, and so when I'm doing the public speaking, I'm helping people. I'm giving them stuff. When I meet with all of my clients, these entrepreneurs, the entrepreneur side of the business, where I meet with these people, I love to just give them things to help them, to be better in their business. And when I meet with individuals, I love to share inspiring stories and hear inspiring stories. It's always fun to share the experiences that I've had and to hear from others. That's part of why I do the podcast, because I want to help bring people to light who have some amazing life experiences and some amazing tips and tricks and tools and things that make them wildly successful. I look very forward to continuing to meet some of the most amazing entrepreneurs in the world and share what has helped them go from some simplicity to stardom and wild success.
Yeah, we can look forward to that. We can look forward to that on future episodes of this podcast.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're going to meet a couple of billionaires that started out very simple, very, very simple, and have created something amazing. We're going to meet hundreds of people who are the top. I work with some of my clients, some of the best real estate agents and investors, at least in Washington State, and right around the top in the world. And what they're going to share with us is going to be amazing. You're going to love it. The things that are in store are yeah, you'll be amazed.
That's great. Well, I can't wait to check out future episodes. Jake, it's been a true pleasure to talk to you today. Thank you so much for having me today.
Well, thank you. Thank you for interviewing me. Thank you for taking the time out to do this. It's going to be good.
Thank you. So long, everybody.
That's a wrap for today. Be sure to subscribe and share this with someone who needs it. Check out jakehaynes.com for past episodes and other resources. And remember, success favors the bold. So work hard, keep growing, and take control of your cash flow so you can play harder.